Happy Wednesday, comic book friends. It is TGIW. Thank God it is Wednesday, the day that we all look forward to every week. New comic book day. We get all the good new stuff. Hopefully, all good stuff. Certainly, all new stuff. But we hope for good. And I think this week is pretty good. Pretty solid, anyway. I'm fairly excited to read almost almost everything that we have here. It is a Spider-Man heavy week, so let's start with that. All the Spider-Man that came out today. Oh, where you at, buddy? Where'd you go? All right. So, Amazing Spider-Man number something 68. This is part 2 of the new storyline with Chameleon. I've been giving Spider-Man some crap lately, and I don't think it's been completely unfounded. Is it as great as I'd like it to be? No, but the previous issue that started this storyline, it's better than it has been. I would still like to see it be a little bit better. Spencer has been on this for a while. Maybe it's time to let someone else have a crack at it for a little bit, maybe. Just maybe. We have issue 3 of Spider-Man Spider Shadow. So this is a what if Spider-Man did not give up the black costume. And as we know now, it is a symbiote and Venom things happen. So this has been good. It is a Chippy Chip Zdarsky joint. Those very rarely, if ever, let down, and I've been enjoying that. And we have a new Spider-Man, I believe it's ongoing, Web of Spider-Man. So I'm excited for that, by Shinnick. I'm not familiar with Shinnick. Maybe this isn't an ongoing. I really didn't do my homework. Anyway, Spider-Man, so I picked it up. Evidently, I heard there is a first appearance in here, so the day it drops, it's already getting like $20-$30 on eBay. It's dumb. The market's so dumb right now. The fact that there is a market is dumb. Anyway, and I heard of some stores selling them for above cover, which I think is a real jerk move. I 100% understand and behind the limit one per customer. People come into the shop hoping to get books that come out, and if they come in to get a book and it's not there because one person came and bought all of them, then it's not just about the financial gain of the store for that one book. I've heard arguments of the store's getting their money either way, so what should they care? Well, it's not just about the money of that one book. It's about serving customers and being a reliable source and getting that return business and all that. So I get that, and I fully support it. Where was I going? Oh, but to take advantage of your normal customer who just wants the book to get the book and upcharging them because it happens to be hot or whatever, I think that's a real jerk move. Anyway, I was able to get mine for cover price because I shop at cool stores that don't do that kind of bull crap. It's I'm feeling defeated, feeling very defeatist about the state of the market these days. Anyway, fun times. Wednesday, new comic book day. Hooray! I picked up Bunny Mask number 1. This is it's a freaky cool looking cover. This was I had pre-ordered this, so last week I had a couple of number 1s. I believe that I had pre-ordered, so even though I'm cutting back, I still got them because I did pre-order them. This is the same. I wouldn't have picked this up normally, but I did pre-order it, so I promised to get it. They ordered it just for me, so I did get it. So we'll see. I do have good news on the number 1s that I got last week. I think it was Out of Body and Basilisk. Both fine books. but I am completely okay and not torn up about not adding them to my subscriptions. Out of Body was interesting. Maybe normally would have continued with that. Basilisk, actually, out of the two, I think Basilisk has gotten the most sort of attention and heat. I mean, it wasn't bad. It was meh. So they did me a solid, and they went ahead and made them not super great. Heroes Reborn, what are we on, 6 now? Yeah, number 6. Man, plowing right through these. That's what I guess what happens when it's a weekly book. So we have Power Princess. The Power Princess story here. These continue to be fun. Pretty much just standalone issues with some small backup arc going through them with Captain America. Blade collecting people like Captain America, like Echo and whatnot. I'm curious to see where that goes. I mean, eventually it has to tie everything together. But just reading them as sort of these one-shots, each one focusing on a different member of the Squadron Supreme, has been a lot of fun. This is definitely the more darker versions of the Squadron Supreme, not the sort of lighthearted original Squadron Supreme, which is okay. I suppose it makes sense in today's sort of with today's audience and climate. Though I think it would have been fun to sort of mix the modern era hero, the 616 normal heroes in sort of their modern tone with the more like Bronze Age style Squadron Supreme. I think that would have been really interesting, but they didn't call me. They didn't ask me my opinion on that, so I guess it doesn't matter. Maniac of New York, number 5. Another great book, underrated. I think. I think if you have the means and the time, read this. I don't know how hard it is to get the individual issues. It is Aftershock. Stores don't usually buy a whole lot of these, so I doubt it's easy to find 1s and 2s out there in the wild. Wait for the trade if you have to, but it is a really, really good read. I suggest it. Especially for horror slasher fans. I think that's what it's written for. Issue 2 of Marjorie Finnegan, Temporal Criminal. The first issue, I really liked Post Americana because it was over the top, crazy nonsense, and I like that kind of stuff. It's a fun departure. This I got the same vibe from the first issue, so I had added it to my poll. And I'm excited to read more of it. It's only 8 issues, which is fine. It's Garth Ennis. Garth Ennis writes some good stuff. So we'll continue on with that. Probably until the end. It is one of those really small or smaller publishers, AWA. The first issue was fun. We'll see if it continues to be fun. Proctor Valley Road, another really good horror story. It's centered around some kids and a small town and some weirdness going on that they get wrapped up in the middle of it, and they kind of need to figure it out to clear their name and save themselves, aside from just trying to do good and figure out what is happening. Another one I suggest, if you didn't get on it, wait for the trade. This one I think probably, it is Boom, so retailers probably ordered a bit more than they would have something like, an Aftershock joint or something like that. So it might be possible to get, and it didn't like really blow up as far as like speculation and stuff goes. So it still might be possible to get some number 1s out there at your local retailer. I'm not entirely sure, or at least if you have to find them online or whatever, they shouldn't be too crazy priced. But one I do suggest reading it. It is a mini. I think it's probably going to be 6 issues around there is my guess. I don't know for sure, but it's worth a read. Great art, fun story. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 117. This cover is just so good. Just the five turtles in this sort of. I mean, I don't have to explain it to you. I can show it to you, right? It's the 5 turtles in some sort of liney thing. It's TMNT. It's I don't know. It's so good, and after all this time and all the sort of iterations that the Turtles have gone through throughout the years, through their original comic representation, the 80s was it 80s 90s, the original cartoon, having different iterations in comics and in animation, that the series that we have now, it I wouldn't say it feels like the original comic series, because again, that it was a different time, but it fits into that. I don't know. It fits into that original run so well. I'm just continually impressed. I mean, it's Eastman, right? So it's coming from the source. But even, time has passed, and creators change, and they evolve, and I'm not saying that Eastman hasn't. He obviously has, but he still does a good job of staying true to what I think his original creation was, and I love that about this. Aside from just being good, better than good, it's great. Joker 4, this is as much of a Commissioner Gordon story as it is a Joker story. It follows Gordon more than it follows Joker, and his search for the Joker, and this position he's been put into in finding the Joker. It's really good. I don't know how long that story's going to go. I do believe that this is intended to be an ongoing. How long an ongoing focused on a villain can last, I don't know. I think it's tough for a couple reasons. One, just because it is a villain, and I think it could be hard to continually write villain stories that aren't supported by a superhero. And second, if it exists in the main continuity, this kind of works now because Joker isn't really doing anything in the Batman books. So it's like, oh, okay, this is what's going on with Joker right now. At some point, Joker is again going to be a focus of a Batman story, in either Batman or Detective or something. So it makes it hard for this to kind of go on parallel, or any villain-based book, right? So I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts. I don't know how long it will actually survive, but so far it's been good. So I'll continue on with that. Not to mention, it's like one of 2 DC books that I get, so I mean, I guess I feel somewhat obligated to have at least some DC love out there. DC main, I have things like this and Black Label stuff and whatnot, but I mean by main DC universe books, I think I only have the 2. Rorschach number 9. I think I mentioned last time I talked about Rorschach, I talked about the previous time I talked about or the previous issue of Rorschach, where it's starting to go somewhere a little bit. It seemed like the first 6 issues or so were just like so much setup, and I don't know. It was getting a little bit long in the tooth. I didn't really know where it was trying to go, and it was losing me. But it's starting to come together a little bit now, so I don't feel as bad keeping it, because one, I'm trying to get away from this mindset, but I've invested so far, I might as well see it through. But it is actually getting to be an okay read. Again, it's good. It's not great, but we will see it through. Really cool cover, though. Not that you should buy things based just on the cover, but it is a cool cover. I mean, that's just a fact's a fact. Geiger 3. First 2 issues have been fun. I'm interested to learn more about this character, how he got to be the way that he is, and his place in the world. And now that other people are starting to interact with him, like what sort of force is he? Is he a force for good, a force for evil? Is he just neutral? He's just trying to live his own life in this post-apocalyptic wasteland. I don't know. It's an interesting concept, and I continue to enjoy it. And lastly, Strange Academy number 11. Who shattered Toth? So someone shattered Toth. Spoiler alert. So this must be a new arc on, you know, instigated by someone shattering Toth and trying to figure out who. This is a book. It has a lot of heart, a lot of really good characters, a lot of fun characters, learning about themselves and the world around them, learning about each other and relationships and things like that. It's a fantastic little book. And if you're not reading it, I can understand it not really being for everyone. You know, there's a lot of those sort of books. Like it is Runaways, and it has the Harry Potter vibe and all that stuff. And if that's not the sort of thing for you, then that's fine. Maybe this book isn't for you, but I enjoy it. It's a nice departure from, and it takes place in the main Marvel universe, but it really stands on its own as well. And obviously some knowledge, you know, Dormammu's son is there, Doctor Strange and Brother Voodoo are there. But it's really about those kids on their own little adventures. It's great. So that's all the individual books that I got. I also picked this up. I was really excited to see this. I didn't realize this was coming out. So it is the complete collection of the Eternals. So it's all 19 issues and annual one. So it's the whole shebang here in one soft cover. I never read it. I like the Eternals. I have volume 2 of the Eternals, which was a 12-issue maxi series. I've read that and it was fantastic. I've always wanted to read this, but there weren't really easy ways to do so. There was, you know, get the issues and read them, which I considered at one point. But then movie buzz and speculation happened, and I'm getting back to the negativity, but like a lot of things, and for those like actual people who just like the stories and the characters, speculation has started to ruin some things for us. So getting the individual issues was, I mean, I have the number 1 because I got that a long time ago because it was the first Eternals, and I think I have number 3 or 2 for Celestials, whatever it was. But, you know, even 3, 4, 5, 6, they all have like first appearance of other Eternals or Deviants or whatever. So they've become cross prohibitive because they're going for prices more than their intrinsic value. So anyway, getting the individual issues just to read it was not an option. The other option was there's been an Eternals omnibus, and I do not like omnibuses. I understand the appeal of them for some people, but to me, there's nothing in it for. It has everything going against them for me. They are very expensive. They take up a lot of space, and as far as reading them is concerned, having just a huge hard-bound volume is not very comfortable for reading. So all of those things are just, it's 3 strikes. I don't get omnibuses. And I understand there are people that just collect omnibuses and they love it for collective purposes and for reading purposes, and that's great. If it works for you, it works for you. They're just not for me. So the 2 options for reading this were just not there. And, you know, I think there were, this had been collected before, like in the mid-ish 2000s or whatever, but, you know, out of print and stuff like that. So being able to read this has been tough. So long story short, I saw this on the shelf today. I was super excited and I picked it up. It's Jack Kirby. I love Jack Kirby. I've read, I think, all of his Fourth World stuff over at DC. I love it. I like that both at Marvel and DC he kind of try to do a similar thing where like these characters exist in the universe, but they don't exist in the universe, right? They are completely separate storyline, all of that. They cross paths, you know, obviously, you know, Darkseid come out of Fourth World. He's a real big Superman, Justice League villain. But for the most part, you know, Orion and crew all kind of stick to their own thing. And then at Marvel, he did Eternals, which is sort of a similar. They're just sort of this bigger than life, bigger than the universe itself, sort of group of entities that occasionally they cross paths. Like, I flipped this a little bit. The Hulk shows up, which is great. But it's the Kirby story. It's Kirby art. I love Kirby art. Yeah, I love things like this that spring out of the mind of Kirby. It's him. He was just able to go do his own thing, and they let him, and it's fantastic. Fourth World stuff. New Gods and Eternals may not be the most popular. It's never going to be as popular as your Batmans and Spider-Mans and Avengers and things like that. That has a lot wider appeal. But this stuff is, in my opinion, this stuff, Eternals, Fourth World, is just as good. And I wish there was more of it out there. And whenever it does show up or they show up, I love to pick that stuff up and read it because it's so good. But to be able to finally go back to the original source of Eternals and being able to read it, like, honestly, I'm looking at these two things. I'm looking at the Eternals collection and my stuff, my new books, and I'm like, I want to read this. I want to read this one, but I can't. I'm not ready for this. This is over here. I'm still reading through Epic Collection Volume 5 of Amazing Spider-Man. I got to get through that. There's a stack of other stuff to read. This may sneak in before the stuff that's been sitting around for a while because I am so excited. But I do keep myself to. I don't get into this the stuff that's been the non-new stuff until I get through new stuff. So I'll probably jam through this new stuff real quick so I can finish off Amazing Spider-Man Volume 5. And then maybe jump into Eternals because I'm so excited to finally be able to read this. Oh, it made me so happy to see it. All right, so that's it. Again, as far as weeks go, this is pretty good. I think it was like 12, 13 books. Getting to that sweet spot I'm looking for. There's some minis that are going to get over. There is a number one that I normally would have gotten. So I think it's happening. It's taking some time for the I don't know what word I'm looking for. The remnants of old collecting style to sort of fade out, and we're getting there. We're getting to a nice, reasonable chunk, and it. I was worried. This is not Wednesday stuff. This is just me rambling stuff. I was really worried I was going to have a hard time with it, and not just have a hard time doing it, but kind of being sad about it. Like, oh, my stack's small. I am feeling so much happier. I feel like there's so much less weight on me. It's just. I'm also not really doing any old collecting stuff, and that's helping a lot. It's really lifted a weight. I feel like I'm breaking out of something. It's like a prison that I didn't know was a prison, and it's making me so much happier. I'm getting more enjoyment out of the things I do read because I don't feel this pressure of having to get through all this stuff, and it's really tough, and I have to hurry through it just to get through it, and I need to set time aside to waste it on looking at eBay auctions and heritage auctions and worry about following that. I've broken free, and it feels good, and I was worried about the opposite. I was worried that I would be feeling less fulfilled, but I'm actually feeling more fulfilled in life in general. Like, I'm getting out and doing stuff with actual people. It's pretty weird. So, hey, if that helps you in any way, whether it be in comics or anything else, sometimes you just gotta let some stuff go. And if you think it's gonna be hard, it is at first, but it gets easier and easier and easier. I was looking at the new comic wall today, and I just felt like God, I don't feel the need to go and look at all these like number ones and variant covers and stuff. It's like I've gotten to the point where it's like, oh my God, like I don't know why I was doing it in the first place. I just they're worrying about, like, it was, what was this? What was this? Normally, because this Web of Spider-Man 1, normally I'd have been like, oh man, I need to go get a bunch of these so I can do whatever with it. And if that fear of missing out, and in 6 months I'm gonna wish I had done that. And you know what? I don't care. I got my copy. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna enjoy it. I'll keep it. I'll file it. And if there's a bunch of people out there that make a bunch of money off this thing, good for them. Good for them. I don't need that stress. I don't need it. The money's not worth it for me. And I have nothing, against people that make money selling comics, as long as they're doing it ethically and reasonably. Fine. And if that is an important source of income for you, great. I'm in a position where I don't need to worry about that, thankfully. So that going around and looking for extra copies of this is not worth the $10-20 I'd make off of it. That stress isn't worth it. More important things than money, for sure. So there's a little bonus content for you. A little bit of rambling, a little bit of, I don't know. It happens. It happens. You longtime viewers know that it happens every once in a while. I just get caught on something and can't stop. So anyway, let me know what you think about the pickups this week. What I got, what you got, what I missed, what you're most excited for. If you have anything to add to that extra stuff that I said about just cutting yourself back and whether it be on comics or anything else, and allowing yourself to that time, and hobby's supposed to be fun. I did something similar. God, this no one cares about this. I used to play video games like a lot, and I didn't do like competitively, except for competing with myself. And like I played like a Rock Band, a Guitar Hero, and stuff like that. It was like, oh, I gotta beat this song on the hardest, whatever. And it started like I realized I wasn't having fun doing it, and I kicked the difficulty down, and suddenly it was fun again. Like, oh wait, this hobby is supposed to be entertainment and fun. I've made it stressful. The first step is realizing that you've done this to yourself and how you're making it stressful, and working on cutting that part out of it so you can enjoy it again. I think that's important with any hobby, right? Because it's a hobby. It's supposed to be enjoyable. It's as soon as it starts getting stressful, I'm not saying cut the hobby, just maybe make some changes. So, life advice from Titan. There you go. So like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that stuff. And already did snaps and winks, but you get an extra one. Don't forget to make yours Titan. This video was brought to you by Titan Comic Pressing. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Titan Comic Pressing LLC.